Hey y'all, welcome to
She surrendered.
Now She Speaks. And I'm your host, Samundra.
And I'm Tristay.
Today we're going to be talking about
Unbuild
Unbuilding
the
the
Bear.
Bear.
Okay, so we came up with this series of Unbuild the Bear because of some things that have happened in our life, and we wanted to address where it came from. So, where it started for me with the theme of Unbuild the Bear was I had a cousin come to me, and she's like, "You like a good project. You always are trying to build projects." And she's like, "We're not doing any more Build the Bears in the future." And I was like, wow, that kind of hit me a little bit. Like, where did I start building bears? Now let's unbuild that bear because I don't want to do that anymore. Let's move on to something different. And I had to attack some trauma, some lies, some untruths in my life, and just unpack that thing to find out where did that bear come from. So with me, I knew when I had to unbuild the bear, I had to face it. I had to take it head on. I had to get into my word and really realize what God was trying to lead me to. He was trying to lead me to healing. And that's what this is all about. I was living a life where I was not healed. And so for me to move forward, we need to unpack that thing. And where did I start when I was unbuilding my bear? So I had to go back to childhood and bring it up. And so I know for me, my trust just went away when my family broke up. When my parents divorced, my dad was my hero. When my family divorced, that's where it started. And I knew going forward in life, until I was able to address that particular topic and unravel it, I wasn't gonna be healed. So that's where my bear started in my life.
So for me, Unbuild the Bear was, I was looking at it, and I think it started for me was when as I was actually praying this morning and asking God to really help me, like where did it all come from? And as I was looking at where did it all come from, I realized that it all came from my childhood as well. So my dad, he was on drugs, and so I didn't know till I was about 10 or 11 years old. So I was a daddy's girl, and so from being a daddy's girl, and then one day realizing it, so I was able to kind of like I started detaching from him and detaching from the love that I had for him because I was disappointed in him. Well, that detachment and that disappointment ended up turning into anger. So I was always a fighter. Don't get me wrong. I was always a fighter growing up in Oak Cliff, Dallas, Texas. I fought a lot as a little girl, but I started to become like real tough at it. And it was because I was kind of like mad. I had an attitude or whatever. I was disappointed. I had anger about what was happening at home. And once I got out of it, I started to then feel that same void of disappointment, sadness, all that. I filled that void with liking boys. And so liking boys was one of those things where I feel the void to like see, I guess trying to find that love that I had with my daddy, but because I detached from him, I started to attach to boys and try to build a relationship with them. And I built a bear of lies, untruth, pain, and just victimhood simply because I was so in such disappointment from my family, from my home life. So I believe that's where that bear came from, and that's what made me realize. Well, me and Tristay was talking one day, a couple of months ago now,
right?
A month or two ago now, and I was like, I need to unbuild the bear too, because no matter what happened that led to the divorce I had, it wasn't necessarily all him. I was broken when I came in as well, so it's time to get fixed, right?
Right. It's definitely time to move on and get past all of that. But you have to start where the trauma began. And like myself, like she stated, I went through a divorce as well. And I realized it's a balance of two unhealed people that came together. And I just wasn't simply healed. I didn't trust. I didn't surrender to God. I let a lot of things go. And what I did realize when my cousin brought that subject to me is I do like a good little project. I like putting stuff together. I like sprinkling a little glitter here and there. I'm a craft person. So I love that. I love putting that together, but what I realized, what I didn't face was I can put other stuff together, but I wasn't working on me. I hadn't dissected what was wrong with me. I can sprinkle glitter on. We can put on makeup all day long and try to be the best version that we are. But until we heal what's inside, you're never going to get past that, what I call the perfect Patty syndrome. Because you're going to be looking like you're good, but you're really not. And so that was the main thing for me after the divorce. I needed to dissect that thing. I needed to find out what was really, really wrong with Tristay. What was the things, her triggers. And then I realized, you know what? I had some good people in my life, but I always pushed them away. Even in the dating scene, like you stated, you know, you started going towards guys to heal that void in your life. I didn't want the good guy. And because the good guy reminded me of my dad. And so, yes, I had to keep moving on and doing something different. But I thank God for friends like Samundra for making me to realize, you know what, you're good. You got to get that relationship back with God. And I did. I went straight to God and I just said, Lord, use me, take me, whatever you got to do. Wash me and just recover what it is that's good about Tristay. So this journey was not about bashing anybody. It was about recovering and discovering me.
Okay, so when you came to God and you wanted to heal, what did you notice about yourself that was like the most unhealed? I know that like you felt you had like, you know, you said family and when your family broke apart, but what was it that was the realization that, hey, this is how I was blinded in my marriage, or didn't want to come to a realization about the marriage because I was so broken here that I was steady trying to feel that here?
It came to me because during the time that I was ending one relationship via the ex, and regaining, because my dad came back into my life after 30 years. During that time frame, he came to visit me, and he came to visit my sister and myself. And I remember picking him up for the first time, and as I'm driving to the airport, I said, Lord, why did you take the husband but brought back my dad? I hadn't slept in a while, you know, during that whole time period. And I remember when he got there, when I saw him and I hugged him, it was like whatever had happened in 30 years disappeared. And I was like, I'm not supposed to be feeling, I'm supposed to be, you know, a little like standoffish and uncomfortable, but I'm not. It was like, oh my God, you know. And so he stayed at my house and we talked, we sat and ate popcorn and we watched the game, just like back in the day, you know. It was like whatever happened washed away. And I know that's how God does it. I'm not going to keep giving you pain. I'm going to wash that thing away. And you need that person that you went through the trauma with to kind of realize it wasn't you, it wasn't me. We had some balances within our lives that we needed to fix. And I remember the first night my dad stayed with me when he came to visit for the very first time. That's the first time I had slept in weeks. And I just kept hearing God say, peace be still, peace be still. And he brought that peace back to me. It's like you'll never forget what happened. But it don't matter anymore. And that brought a wholeness to me again. So building that relationship with God and letting him uncover the truths for me, I can't even explain it. It's just like, oh my God, you know, it's nothing but God. And like we talk, he tells me all the time, my dad, call me anytime. We talk all the time, and every time we talk now, it's like 4 hours. I just like, one time I was on the phone with him, and I was like, you know what? We've been on the phone for like 3 hours. You know? And so I think that was what me recovering that relationship with my father was able to make me say, you know what, there is a such thing to trust in the Lord, because he has your back no matter what. And so when I started dissecting that thing and reading my Bible more and, just attending church because it's always been there. You're going to always have that foundation of something.
Right.
And I always had the foundation. I just kind of went away from it. So being able to heal from that and have my father back in my life has been a blessing.
So what you realized was that all along you had an unhealed wound from the no relationship from your father.
It was the divorce.
And the divorce
from my parents.
Yes.
The divorce from my parents, it crushed me. And I didn't even realize that. Mm-hmm. I really didn't realize. I mean, I did, but I didn't realize that it had hurt me that bad. Mm-hmm. Like, I was trying to fix everything. And that's where the fix came. Like, I want to fix this. I want to make this pretty. Because I just don't want to live that ugly truth. Mm-hmm. And that's where it came. Mm-hmm. So I was always trying to fix everybody else up and not deal with me. Mm-hmm. And I was dying on the inside. Mm-hmm. And nobody even knew. Nobody, and how would they know? Mm-hmm. I didn't know.
You couldn't understand that.
Right. Mm-hmm. So that's where it came from for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, what made me realize that I needed to surrender to God was, and really break down what was going on with me, was when I went, as I went through I started realizing that I got to get out of the marriage, which was hard. Mm-hmm. But then when I was going through it, I remember I went, because my dad died. So my dad died. Then, now it's 15 years, so it was like 12, I don't know, 11 years then. So my dad had been dead since I was 27. And so I had a lot of regrets with that because I always stayed mad at him because he was always doing something. Right. So I didn't get to have a conversation with him before he died either. He died unexpectedly. So I remember I was going through the divorce, and when we divorced, prior to that, I started going to I listened to Sarah Jakes Roberts all the time, and some people like her, some people don't, but I liked her because I could really relate to her. And I remember I was going through the divorce as I went to Nashville to one of her conferences, and at that conference, I realized I needed God. Mm-hmm. I had grew up in church my whole life. Like, I was going to church then every Sunday, all the time. Right. I read my Bible here and there, sparingly, scripture, but I needed God. And I knew I needed God, but when I was in that space, I knew I needed God. Like, I needed him more than ever because I wasn't able to do this. I wasn't able to do this anymore. Mm-hmm. I said, I don't even know what I'm doing. I was completely lost. That's when I realized I was lost. And so as I was going through the divorce and as I divorced, I realized that I needed to talk to my dad. And we all know, if you know the word, God, that the spirit is with the Lord. So the body, when you go to the graveyard, they're not there, and you can't speak to spirits. As Christians, we don't speak to spirits. We don't talk to spirits because then you're talking to the dead. Jesus tell you not to talk to the dead. But I needed to just break down. So I went to the graveyard and I laid on his grave and just cried and apologized. And I just told him I love him. I was crying. I was living on that ground on the dirt, just holding on to the gravestone, just crying to him because I wanted my daddy the whole time. I wanted my daddy. And right before he died, he had called me and told me a few things about my relationship. Mm-hmm. And he was kind of nervous to tell me because I was a firecracker back in the day. I talk back. And so he was just like, this girl gonna say something crazy, but I'm gonna tell her. Right. But he told me, and I said nothing but okay. And he was like, my mom said he called her and was like, she didn't even get mad. And I was like, why? He was telling me the truth. Yeah. And I knew it was the truth because I've been needing somebody to tell me the truth. Right. So
but that's God. You're seeking for the truth anyway.
Yes.
And we don't even realize it.
Yes. And you don't realize it until it comes to you and then you needed it. And but sometimes you will reject it at the moment, but it always come back. Yeah. It always come back in your back of your head. You're like, that was told to me and I should have listened. I should have listened, or I hear it now. Right. But I went to him and I just laid on the grave and I apologized and I cried and I just told him that I missed him. I know he wasn't there. I know the spirit wasn't going to speak to me back, or I'd have got scared. But I needed to do that. And that's when I realized I needed to surrender to God more. I was like, it's something I'm not letting go of, and I'm not letting go of, and I'm not letting go of. And so from there, I was like, God, have your way.
Right.
And so from that moment, I started seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. And so I started seeking the kingdom of God in every way possible.
Right.
Because I knew that my daddy wasn't coming back, but my Father in heaven is everything to me.
Right.
And he's going to do everything for me. He's going to take care of me fully. And he will fill that void of love that I didn't express back to my daddy anymore, the wall that I had put up because I was so disappointed in him. He'll fill that void. And not these men, not these relationships, not one man would be able to have filled that void for me anymore than what God can do. And it always had been that way. And so God was like, I was always here with you. I'll never leave you or forsake you. And I remember I kept saying that to myself as I was going through the fact that, okay, my daddy gone. And I finally, after that, it was 10 years, because I remember that's when I finally was like, my daddy died. And that's when I started to realize that was the brokenness that I had. I still hadn't, as I go through thinking about this, I'm thinking, well, why was I so mad at him? And I finally got to the point I was so mad at him because I was a daddy's girl. I had blocked that out, honestly, for years, that I was a daddy's girl. I didn't realize I was a dad. Oh, I mean, we ain't got no tissue. But I didn't even realize, I forgot that I was a daddy's girl.
Right.
Because I had been mad at him for so long.
I get it, because I was there too. Yeah. I mean, I remember being with my dad, telling him intimate stuff, about stuff that you would usually tell your mom about, running to him, hey, guess what? And so when you lose that connection, and that was like, my dad was everything to me, when you lost that connection, it's hard to do. And my parents divorced as I'm becoming a teenager. Mm-hmm. I really don't know what direction to go into, because I'm dealing with this. Over here, the family breaking up. Then plus we had to move to a whole nother state, which I was used to that. Anything, I'm a military kid, so I was used to that. But just dealing with all of that. And then, like I said, building that bear of perfect patty, because now I don't want to disappoint my mom because she's hurting, and then I'm the oldest child. So, of course, I got to be there for my little sister. I got to be a pillar of strength. And I was broken. I was just broken, and I don't think I ever dealt with it. I just kept putting on this happy-go-lucky face and be strong and kept on going on. And I was broken inside. And I say that now that I'm approaching this big number next year, and it's like, dang, you really didn't know who you were. And now I'm getting to know her. I remember having my epiphany moment when God said, I had got to the point where I was walking through life and not even paying attention to who I was. I was, you know how you go in the bathroom in the morning and you're washing your face and you're brushing your teeth, and I'm not even looking at the mirror. I'm there, I can see the visual, but I'm not even paying attention to who that is in the mirror. And one day I was brushing my teeth and God said, look up. And I didn't know who that person was anymore. I was so broken that I couldn't even, I was like, who is that? It is my own reflection. And I was like, you got to get yourself together, because that ain't you. God didn't put you into this world to be that. And I broke down. I got on the floor and I cried. And I knew once the divorce was over, for me, I needed to go through every single stage, every single emotion. Yes. I needed to scream. I needed to shout. I remember getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning and just driving down the highway, whatever it was. If I had to go out of town, just to go out of town, I always have one person that I can call and say, hey, this is where my location is, where I'm going to be, blah, blah, blah. That's my best friend. But I had to go through it. And I remember one time I was out of town and I was coming back, and it was pitch black. Shouldn't have been driving. Don't do that. Shouldn't have been driving that late at night. But I remember driving, and it was nothing. There was nothing on the side of me, in front of me, or in the back. It's pitch black. And I remember God saying, why are you on this highway? You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I don't even know why I'm on this highway. He said, because look up. And so when I looked into the rearview mirror, there's nothing behind me. He said, so keep moving forward. Stop going backwards. Keep moving forward, because there's nothing there. Keep moving forward. And from there, I kind of just let go of some stuff that I was going through in my life. People I was kind of, in renderance with, and I just had to let that go and just keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, just healing that relationship with my dad. Like now I can call him, hey, what you doing? You know, it's different. It's really, really different. I didn't like who I was back then. I'm starting to like me again. I'm a pretty okay girl.
Right.
You know, and before I was like,
yeah,
I always shrunk behind the crowd.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, okay, look at you. When I put on clothes now, I feel like, oh, okay, girl, go ahead, do your thing. And it took me a minute to unbuild that bear to get there.
Yeah.
And that's where it started for me.
Yeah.
So thank God for revelation.
Revelation, yeah, that's good. That's good. The revelation to realize that this is how I see it. To realize that yes, he broke my heart, or yes, he did me wrong, but how did I even get attracted in this relationship to begin with? Because what we will do is, and this is where I had to come to grips for me, was that I can play victim as much as I want.
Right.
But the revelation is it was deeper than that to begin with.
It was.
You were broken than that to begin with. And yes, they were wrong. Yes, they did you wrong. Yes, they weren't good, or whatever the case is. But how did you even end up there?
And then you have to really, because again, this is not about pointing fingers at anybody. This is taking self accountability. And so the reflection for me was, they may have been broken too.
Yes,
and that's where the trauma starts, because two broken pieces.
And one of the quotes I've heard a lot over the people that I listen to is, broken people attract broken people.
And that's true.
And then if you go spiritual, those demons or those spirits will attract the same spirit. Right. Those spirits are going to attract each other. So they're broken, you're broken. It's going to be a lot of brokenness.
Right.
And until you get two healed people to come together, then it's going to, because it's like nothing is going to be easy. But if you come in broken, you're not going to no person can heal you. And that's why. That's true. That's why you have to be whole, but you also have to be whole in Christ. For me, and I really say that because I lean on Jesus for everything, because I was at a point to where one of the reasons why I didn't want to get divorced was because I didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to be a single mother, and I didn't want to do it by myself. I didn't want to do anything by myself. I was like, I don't want to be alone until I realized to lean into Christ more. I realized that I didn't need that. Right. I needed him, and I had him, and it seems. I know, because sometimes, like when I was growing up, and people would say that to me, you just need Jesus. I'd be like, child, true, but you know, a nice warm body will do something too. And then you start to say, okay, Lord. Now, as I was going through that, I was like, but these warm bodies are becoming like bondage. This warm body is putting me in bondage. It's making me, I still feel small. I don't care how connected we become intimately, sexually or whatever, or I like him, he cool. Why do I still feel small? Why do I still not feel connected? And it's because, like you said, I didn't love myself because I didn't love God the most. I was loving God only as a genie in a bottle. Lord, help me. Lord, be with me. Lord, take care of me.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Jesus, help me, Lord. Lord, you know all about it.
Right. But when it was surface. It was just surface.
But when it came down to it, and I looked in the mirror one day, I was actually going through really bad depression. And I've actually had that too, where I looked in the rearview mirror and it was nothing back there, and then I heard a voice kind of tell me to like stop looking back. But and so that's so good, because sometimes we don't catch that. Sometimes we see it, we hear it, but we could keep looking back because we haven't yet understood that you don't have to. I know I always think about Lot's wife when she wasn't supposed to look back, she turned into a pillar of salt. Right. And that's because she ended up being stuck where she was. You get stuck where you're at looking back. So what was I gonna say?
Well, what I took from that when I did look back and I saw that there was nothing there, is like you keep trying to recover these same situations. Stop going back to what you already been freed from. Let that go.
And yes, because even like you find yourself, and I'll tell you this, the enemy knows how to get you. Because as soon as you're trying to move forward, he always brings familiarity back to you. Those familiar spirits, however you want to put it, it always come back. I know that happened to me. A familiar face came back, and it put me in more bondage than I was supposed to be in. I was walking out of something, walking into something worse, emotionally. They may not have been just the like out on the surface bad, but as I got to the point of my emotions and my mental health and my mental stability, it was even worse because I went backwards. I didn't go forward. And you cannot go back. Like, you, as much as you think you can, you cannot go back. Why did I want to build a bear? And for me, I know you talking about why you want to build. I was building mine because I just saw potential. I saw potential in what I thought that they could be potential to do. And I didn't ever look at the full package. I was just looking at what I thought they could be. From, how do I put it? Trying to get him to be who I thought he could be, simply to fill the void of who I wanted in my life to begin with. And so I started building that bear on the lies, on the untruth, and on the expectations of what I wanted from somebody who never really felt that anyway. It wasn't what he wanted in his life. I realized that I was trying to build the bear that way, trying to make him be what I expected him to be, or what I kind of thought he could be. He could be something great. And the greatness has to be from within. Nobody can ever heal somebody else.
Ooh, say that.
Nobody can ever build somebody else. You have to have it for yourself. Because you got to want it. Because you got to sustain it. It's got to be sustained. I can, like, what's the quote? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. You can always give somebody everything, but if they don't want it, they won't sustain it. They won't even take it. Some people won't take all of the greatness that they have, and it's not because they're a bad person. It was just not them. You can't make, and that was me. I had expectations. I was like, yeah. And so you said you didn't ever want the good guys. You wanted the bad boys. I just liked the bad boys. My daddy was so mess, and so I saw what I saw, and it was like it was more comfortable. And what I realized as I'm unbuilding the bear was that comfort will always keep you like stuck, because as you get, because your comfort means that you're not growing, you're just there. And yes, it feels good, but is it good for you? And so I realized that most of the bad boys, or the bad boys I dated or whatever, it was more comfortable. It was what I knew. I grew up in Oak Cliff, Texas, born and raised Dallas. And,
You didn't have to say it like that.
Oak Cliff, Texas, that's what we say. Okay. And that's what you saw. You saw the little hood boys. That's what you thought. You thought that was what was cool. And so you stuck with that. And I remember wanting to get out the hood. But you can take a person out the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the person. And that always reminds me of the Egyptians, how they were freed from, the Israelites, they were freed from Egypt, but they had to get the Egypt out of them. That's what kept them in the wilderness for 40 years.
So mine is opposite. Like, my dad, okay, so if we're going to build a pillar of somebody that I would want to date, he can build something like that. He can look at something like that and put it together. He was the type of person that would always challenge me when it came to my education and things like that. Well, that's where creativity in my mind used to go. Like, okay, what am I gonna do next? You know what I'm saying? Okay, they gave us a book report. Well, what can I do with that book report? Do I need to build something? That came from my dad, and I didn't want that guy because he had broke our hearts.
And it reminded you.
And so I didn't know anything about a roughneck or whatever you want, the bad boy or whatever. But that's what I'm going to get. Because guess what? I can throw on a little, put a little cologne on him, dress him up, and that might be the one that stays. Because the good guy left. And that's where my mind thought was. And that's when my cousin told me, we're not doing no more Build a Bear projects. I was like, that hit me so hard. Like, she don't even know how that hurt. But I had to really realize that's where it came from. I realized if I was to, and I'm not calling them bad guys, they weren't. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has their own trauma. But I thought if I could put some stuff together and put this glue here and sprinkle a little glitter like you would on a Build-A-Bear and throw some clothes on them, they would stay.
Mm-hmm. Stuff them with a little something.
Right, stuff them with a little here, they would stay. Mm-hmm. But in the end, I realized it was the trauma within me. It didn't matter if you were a good guy or a bad guy. I wasn't healed. And because I wasn't healed, it could or could not work out.
Yeah.
And it probably wouldn't have worked out because I didn't know who I was.
Yes.
I didn't.
Yes.
And so that's where the Unbuild the Bear project, it really ain't about them.
No.
It's about us.
It's about us unbuilding the bear that got us to where we were.
And sometimes that bear lies within.
Yes.
We hope this conversation was transparent and healing.
Thank you for joining us.
She surrendered. Now she speaks.
Okay.